What's up, everybody? It's your boy Sir Splash, and today I am doing a video on a character that I personally love. We'll probably eventually do videos on a lot of these characters, but not many Yu Yu Hakusho videos out there, especially not scaling. And I haven't gotten many requests for this in particular, but I love this series, and I hope this video, if you guys haven't already read the series or haven't looked into it, this will encourage you to do so. But today I'm going to do a video on who I think is one of the most underrated characters, Hiei himself. Recently featured in a death battle against Sasuke. A lot of people hate him for it because they said Hiei won, which I agreed with. But yeah, so I'm going to go over his feats as well as why I enjoy him as a character, and I hope you enjoy. So, when we're introduced to Hiei in the story of Yu Yu Hakusho, he's introduced in a trio of demons that stole stuff. They stole artifacts that are pertinent to the spirit realm, and Yusuke's assignment is to get them back. Now, when we see him in chapter 20, page 4, there is actually no prior knowledge on Hiei and what he is, what he's done. We just know he's a demon, and we know that he is very cruel as a character. When he's the last demon Yusuke encounters in this arc, and in chapter 23, page 9, he sends a telepathic message from miles away. And his spirit is 10 times bare minimum stronger than a normal demonic spirit. He possesses a Jagan evil eye, which can possess any lower level demon and human upon sight. This is extrapolated upon in chapter 23, page 12. So he's shown as like the meanest, most ruthless of the group. We don't really know his motives besides doing hood rat stuff, which automatically endears me to the character. And he's taking over people like in the area. He's mind controlling them, turning them rabid, and he's taking over the mind of the girl Yusuke cares about. So of course Yusuke has to pull up. They swap hands briefly, chapter 24. And Yusuke starts amping himself out of desperation. When he gets desperate, when the situation calls for it, his power is known to increase. Later on in the series, explained where Yusuke draws this from. But seeing this, he reveals his, quote, true form, chapter 24, page 8, and blitzes this even heavily amped Yusuke with no problem. At this point, it is quite obvious Hiei is the superior of the characters we've seen so far. In fact, Kurama had to interfere and tank a shot that was intended for Yusuke and interfere in the fight in order to kind of give Yusuke an advantage and to eventually win. And when he wins, it's because he hits Hiei with a full-powered Ray Spirit shot in the back while Yusuke is off guard. This is chapter 24, page 18. Hiei tanks this. However, it does knock him out. It allows for Yusuke to win. He also used an ability here that he doesn't use really the rest of the series, where he paralyzes his foe. And it wasn't undone until Kurama threw blood on the Jagan eye, which broke, that temporary spell and allowed Yusuke to move around again. After this, we see Hiei kind of get incorporated into the group of hooligans. And at this point, it's we don't know why Hiei's rolling with them. We just know he has an ulterior motive, which is revealed later on. But he's hanging out with the boys and helping them to reach his own goal specifically. In chapter 34, page 10, he is claimed to be the fastest among the group by a decent margin by Yusuke, and the rest of them agree. It's important because Yusuke has been able to react to and use light speed attacks with Light Wave. In particular, it's literal light. Spirit Gun, we saw Hiei casually dodge from point blank. If you pixel calc, you can get it above FTL. I don't do pixel scaling. But anyways, so he's significantly the fastest, and at this point, it's kind of shown, in my opinion, that Hiei is the most dangerous of the group. most capable because of his speed and his willingness to just one-shot you. He doesn't really care. He doesn't care about you if you aren't going to help him achieve his goal. And so he will pull up on you and handle his business if he has to. So in chapter 39, he ends up facing a foe stronger than prior to Demons seen. And he has a move that launches multiple 0 Celsius punches in a split second. This is chapter 39, page 9. So this is a very fast demon he's going up against. Regardless, he blitzes and draws his sword and one-shots the charging demon, who casually bodied the demon who nearly beat Kimawaru. So this is chapter 39, page 15. At this point, you can make an argument he's the strongest among his group. Definitely the fastest, though. He chopped him to pieces, in fact. On the next page, no one present could register the move. So we've already gone over how, at this point, this is very early in the series, but someone like a Yusuke can use lightspeed attacks, react to it, get out of the way of it. They are this fast. Kurama is a high-class demon. He's a very experienced demon. And none of them registered the move in which he chopped this demon to pieces. In chapter 45, page 18, we see Hiei blitz and destroy an army of demon-like people. And around this time, we start to see the motivation for what Hiei is doing. It turns out Hiei is searching for his sister. Now, she doesn't know she's his sister. He doesn't care if she knows. That's what makes his character interesting. He wants to help his sister. He actually cares about his sister and loves her. But he doesn't care if he gets credit for it, and he doesn't care if she knows he exists. It just matters that she's safe. So we see that despite him being a demon, Hiei's a good person. He's not even dramatic at all. And Sasuke is super dramatic, but Hiei is not dramatic at all. He gets the job done, and the fact it got done satisfies him. We see in chapter 53, page 5, he's able to body swarms of teams of demons pretty casually. He tanks later on in chapter 57 a demonic fire punch through his stomach. This is on page 8 as well. At this point, it is noted by Kurama with alarm as well that Hiei has the ability to manipulate black demon flames of darkness. Kurama says at this point, those flames shouldn't be used on Earth. So, couple things. One, he could draw upon a power, react to, and use a power from a completely different realm, the demon realm. On top of this, the power is so potent that is a threat to Earth to use it on Earth. It has that much potential as a power, even this early in the series. He later on, chapter 63, page 2, one-shots a genetic freak, even compared to the characters at this point. In chapter 78, we kind of jump around a bit, but he fights a demon, and the demon doesn't even know. Hiei cuts his arm off, as Hiei appeared completely still from his perspective. By this point, we're well above light speed. We fought characters that have amped lightning attacks, and so these demons scale relative to everybody. Easily light speed reaction times. It literally doesn't even see Hiei move. Hiei just appears frozen solid in front of him. He one-shots a demon at that point, and then he summons again Fire to Earth in chapter 80, page 3. He then tanks a blow from a massively amped demon on chapter 80, page 10. On chapter 80, page 19, he forms his Flame Energy Sword. This Flame Energy Sword is actually stated to be more potent than Kuwabara on page 19, and Kuwabara states it would slap his. Previously, his sword broke trying to strike this demon, and this Flame Energy Sword bops that same demon. So it's a massive amp to his attack potency. In chapter 98, his Dragon Flame is 2 times stronger than original. He was able to blitz a competitor in the tournament they're in named Bui, or Rui, whatever you want to call him. One-shots his axe and is annoyed at that point by the competition. This is on page 14. What makes this interesting is what basically happened is there a character named Toguro who Yusuke thought killed his master, or at least does at some point, But anyways, so Toguro pulled up on Yusuke initially, was way stronger than Yusuke, and said, you have this amount of time to get stronger and face us in a tournament, or I'm just going to come back and kill you. So they all train. He goes off and trains. They all train, come to this tournament with top tier local talent, top tier local demons, top tier fighters, and they have to fight their way and try to win the tournament. If they win the tournament, they're not killed. And at this whole time throughout the tournament, this is how much of a Chad Hiei is. Hiei several times tells Yusuke, yo, F the tournament, let's just kill everyone. That's how confident Hiei is in his ability. And it just goes back to how consistent his character is when it comes to no nonsense, just get the job done. He's like, yo, we could just kill everyone, Yusuke. We don't have to go by these rules. We've gotten to the point where we're strong enough to do this. But they follow the rules. Anyway, Yusuke is like, no, I'm just going to win it. At this point, their blows would one-shot the stadium, chapter 98, page 18, in this Hiei Bui or Rui fight. And this stadium specifically was built for this competition, so that's how crazy their power is getting. Chapter 99, page 3, he fires a massive black flame dragon. At this point, page 6, he absorbs and controls the black flame. So to further unlock the potential of the black flame he summons demonically, he figures out he has to absorb it in order to properly use it. He then tanks a punch from a full-powered Bui. At this point, he tells him, yo, I know you're stronger than what you're portraying yourself to be. Bring that side of yourself out so we can have a real fight. Bui unleashes his full power. And then chapter 99, page 15, two pieces his ass. He just finishes him off. Hiei advances. After this, he does require hibernation for a few hours, but it's mostly just because he's never used that power before. Chapter 115, page 4, he actually tanks getting his soul removed. It didn't affect him at all, and it later gets put back in his body, and he's fine. This is when the series jumps around, and it's not as much spotlight on the side characters. He walks through at the end of chapter 132 what's called a megaton punch. If you want to lowball it, by this time they're well above island level easily. But if you want to call it megaton, sure. That's a million tons of TNT, and it did absolutely nothing to him. We then see in the 140s Sensui pull up, one of the coolest villains ever. And he can sense Sensui is actually an S-class demon after all. And so this is where we kind of have to refer to the classes. So A class, the absolute low ball you can give is country level to continental, because they can just show up one-shot Japan like that. It's over. But A class is also referred to as having mythological levels of power, so I tend to lean towards multi-continental to planetary. Because it's stated passively in A-class spirit from Spirit World, if he had known his stuff had been stolen early on in the story, just knowing that, his passive anger would have caused unprecedented damage to Earth itself. So that would include the likes of the meteor, the asteroid that hit Earth, back then, continental, multi-continental damage. So it would cause unprecedented, unparalleled damage to Earth. Wouldn't destroy it, but it'd be crazy, and that's just passive from another realm entirely. So yes, I lean towards A-class being continental to multi-continental. So at this point, Sensui is fighting Hiei, and when Sensui's fighting Yusuke, and he kills Yusuke. And this is one of the most Chad just hype moments from the series. After Yusuke goes down, Kuwabara, Hiei, and Kurama said, whatever happens, we're going to do everything we can to kill him. He just killed our boy, we're going for him, no matter what. And Hiei and Kurama go full monster mode. He turns A-class at this point, reveals he can go A-class. Sensui's like, oh wow, you actually show A-class release right there. So we've jumped to this level. We find out this level for Hiei is possible. So he's at least continental, multi-continental. They pull up on Sensui. Eventually, they fight through to the demon realm, but his black dragon flame at this point is so strong that it passively wipes out an entire wave of C-class demons instantly. This occurred on chapter 146, page 12. He was then in this fight with Sensui when they square off with him, takes hits from steel key armored Sensui, who's S-class at this point. The difference between A-class and S-class is so crazy that it's the difference between continental, multi-continental to planetary levels of power and a regular human. That's how big the difference is. So they're tangoing with this S-class. He takes hits from him, chapter 147, page 12. He awakens again, more power in chapter 152, and grows hair, and then blitzes. Actually, I'm sorry, this is Yusuke, read the wrong section. But anyways, he is able to press Sensui to the point where Sensui himself has to actually block the attacks, can't just straight up tank it anymore, and he has to knock away Hiei. So he was one of the better opponents for Sensui at this point. So after this conflict in which Yusuke comes back, awakened, grows the hair, blitzes, Sensui finishes him, we kind of get more into the history behind Hiei. He was actually an A-class demon by age 5. This is revealed in chapter 157, page 13. The reason this is crazy is because that means homeboy was continental, multi-continental as like barely over toddler. It's just walking around bullying on people. To come down to earth, to find his sister, he implanted the Jaganai, weakened himself severely, worked through it. So at this point, everyone's gearing up for war in the demon realm, kind of shift of power in the balance. And he's training as well. Chapter 159, page 10, other A-class demons are quoted as just simple goons compared to him after just 6 months of training. He then is shown on page 20 of that same chapter to have completely surpassed his previous A-level power. He then fights Sodad, the demon who was relative and actually taught young Yusuke how to fight. This is a sword battle in which Sodad is the best demonic sword fighter. And in this battle, on chapter 160, he tanks his forearm getting chopped off in order to piece up Sodad, 3 pieces him, and he was nerfing himself this whole time because he refused to use dragon flames. He was actually just going base to base, pulling up with his base, his sword, just proving he's a better swordsman. He then fights Makaru, who's one of the strongest demons at this point, and like I said, we're massively into the planetary scale, well above that. As I said, A-class, top A-class, arguably planetary, and the margin between A and S is ridiculous. I'll post the calc for how strong they should be, but the lowest multi-planetary S-class, because it's got to be multi-planetary, because 1/5 of Sensui's power could compromise Earth. So that's 5 times planetary. Weakest S-class is 30,000. So you end up, when you get to in the 100,000 range, multi-planetary. But eventually these characters get so strong you can't even rank their power. And Yusuke, Hiei, Kurama can threaten like the top ranked ones who have their powers in the millions, like above 1 million. So it's over 2,000 times planetary, worst case. But anyways, he's able to keep up with one of the strongest and take a hit from one of the strongest demons. Didn't win the demonic tournament, but he fought well, ends up S-class, ends up fulfilling his goal of finding and saving his sister, and thus the tale of Hiei, the consistent, no-nonsense speed demon who handles his business and goes home after just fine, is concluded. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. He is MFTL. You can argue infinite speed. If you want to see more arguments for their tiering, go to my How Strong Is video on Team Yusuke, as well as the battle between him and Team 7 from Naruto. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you want more content around Yu Yu Hakusho on more of these characters, let me know and vote on the characters you want in the comments down below. Anyways, it's been your boy Sir Splash, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.